There are times when the amount of material left on the profile of part is too much for one pass. In this case, we need to make multi-passes and step the cutter in towards the final geometry. So in this video, I want to demonstrate how to alter our code here for the roughing to do just that. So first, I'm going to copy all of this code here, which actually cuts the profile. So I'm going to highlight it and push Control-C in the keyboard. I'll just click down here and push enter a couple of times. So I've got a space above and below it, and I'll Control-V to paste it. Next, I want to alter this code so that this up here will cut further out, and then this code that I already know works will cut my final pass and leave 25 thou. Before I alter the code, I'm going to click here in this line, and I'm going to add a line number with a comment to make it easier for me to read. So I'm going to say N21, and then in brackets I'm going to put final rough cut. So one way to take two rough cuts is to use a different cutter comp here. So rather than use D02, I'm going to use D22. Then I'm going to make a note that D22 equals whatever I need it to equal, as long as it isn't larger than this, because this would be our internal radius. So now I have to decide how much material is there to come off and how many passes I should remove it in. If I'd like this cut to leave 125 thou, I'll add 125 thou here, and then this cut would take 100 thou. So this time, the first pass through, the cutters are going to use D22, and as we step down and we get here, on this line, our cutter's up here, just further out here because we're using a larger cutter comp. And many people ask me, can I do that? Yes, as long as this value added together isn't larger than this, our internal radius, you're fine. You can lie to the machine as long as you want. You won't get caught as long as you're careful. But don't lie to your significant other. You'll always get caught no matter how careful you are. But what do we need to do down here? So we're ending here. And before we start the next cut, we need our tool down here. We also have cutter comp active. We can't pick up a new cutter comp with one active. So we're going to have to add another line of code here. And we'll need to do a few things. One is we need to get above the part and wrap it back to the start position. So I'm going to program G00, and I'm going to move it an inch above the part so it's good and clear of any clamps or anything I might have in the way. Now that I'm an inch above the part, I'll push enter again, and I'll cancel my cutter comp. So I'm above the part. If my tool moves a little bit, it's okay. And then I want it to come back to the initial start position. So I'm going to paste that here. So now when we end this, we'll wrap it 100 thou up, cancel cutter comp, and wrap it back to the start position. Before we start this cut, we need to do a few more things. And one is, enter here and add a space. We need to get back to our depth of cut. So I'll copy and paste this line here. And the last thing I'll do, because I'm taking an extra 100 thou, I'm going to come here and I'm going to add another 100 thou to this X to ensure the cutter moves this way when it picks up its cutter. So now with a few tweaks, we're taking multi-passes. The cutter on this pass will take whatever material is there and leave 125 thou from the finished shape. When it's done that cut, it'll wrap it up, cancel the cutter comp, move back to the start position, feed down, pick up the new cutter comp, this time leave 25 thou on the finished profile for the finished cutter. It'll cut the path, and then we can get rid of this space. And then the finished pass will happen with our finished tool down here. So that's one method to do multi-passes. The only thing we have to watch is that our D value isn't larger than any internal radiuses. In the next video, we'll look at how to do multi-passes with using the same cutter comp.